Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Hope you all have had a good one. I certainly have. So, we're going to be wrapping up the AFC today with our AFC South free agency recap. A pretty quiet offseason from everybody else. Jacksonville had quite the offseason, and since we're doing the same rules as usual, we're going to start with the Jacksonville Jaguars. I get what they're trying to do. I very much disagree with what they're doing. I really did not like the way that they spent their money. And let's get into that right away. So the first big addition they had was Christian Kirk, who I like Kirk as wide receivers go. He's a decent deep threat. He's got some good speed to him. But they're paying him number one wide receiver money, and he isn't a number one wide receiver. I don't know if anyone would put him in the same stratosphere as guys like DeAndre Hopkins, Devontae Adams. I don't know, even Justin Jefferson. We could throw him into that category. Odell Beckham Jr., Cooper Kupp. I don't know if anyone would throw him into that category. He is definitely a number two. He is good when he has somebody else alongside of him. I mean, he has a 4-year deal worth $72 million, and I don't know if that's really what he's worth. I get what they're doing. Their wide receiver core wasn't great last year. I understand that. They needed more out of their wideouts. They really needed some guys who could be able to catch and create separation. They needed guys who could get open in the middle of the field. They didn't really have that. Kirk is definitely an upgrade over what they had previously. They lost DJ Chark, who I like DJ Chark, but he was never really going to be a top-flight wideout, despite having some legit talent. And I like Laviska Shenault, but I understand what they're doing. I would have just drafted somebody personally, or if you're going to get Christian Kirk, I don't think you had to pay him that much. Maybe it's a thing like, because, it's Jacksonville, they're not very good, and, they have such a terrible reputation, especially after the whole Urban Meyer thing last year. Maybe it's that kind of thing where, you got to overpay to get people to come. And I understand that. Still doesn't mean I agree with it, but hopefully this gives Trevor Lawrence some weaponry. If Trevor Lawrence can make Christian Kirk work out and Kirk can help Lawrence grow and develop, then I don't think anybody's going to care about that cap hit. There was one move I really did like. Brandon Scherff, one of the more underrated guards in the league out of Washington. He was pissed at the organization, as everybody is, and Washington had to do some cap shedding. Jacksonville, at the very least, recognized, hey, we need a good interior line. He is definitely a start. He is going to help, fortify that line. I would still draft a guy, though, personally. I would draft somebody just for the sake of Trevor Lawrence. I'm still clamoring for them to go out and take Evan Neal. I know people have reservations about that. But to me, if you can't protect Trevor Lawrence, I'm sorry, it's time for a change. Cam Robinson is not your franchise tackle. It's time for a change, and Evan Neal would be an instant upgrade. And to me, it's a start. It's not perfect, but it's a start. It's a deep tackle class. Get somebody for Trevor's sake. And then they get Evan Ingram, which he has his catch problems. He's an athletic tight end. He's got some talent. When he can catch and he's not dropping balls, he's pretty good. He'll at least be, again, he's an upgrade over what they had, even though I like Tyler Eifert and I like James O'Shaughnessy. I don't know if he'll be quite the legend that Tim Tebow was. A little sarcasm there. But, Evan Ingram he'll be an upgrade. I don't know how much he's going to bring to this offense, but he'll help out. And, so going over those weapons, actually one more to go through. Zay Jones, who's an underrated wideout. He's a decent guy. He's good in the slot. That's how Vegas used him, and I hope that's how Jacksonville plans to use him. Just put him in the slot. I think that's his best position. And, going back to who they hired Doug Peterson, which I like who they hired. I did not like the process that they went through. I thought that the right thing would have been to just fire, in my opinion, the right thing would have been to fire Trent Baalke, because he is not a good GM, in my opinion. And to go forward with Byron Leftwich and then his man Adrian Wilson from Tampa. That's who I would have gone with. I get it that they are, for some reason, that Shad Khan is just tied his boat to Trent Baalke. I don't understand why personally, but he absolutely has. So I would have done that, but when you look at Peterson and how he used his weapons in Philly, and how he used guys like Alshon Jeffrey, and then how he worked with his line with a guy like, for example, Lane Johnson, who really had a good renaissance in that Eagles offense. Then you look at how they use Dallas Goedert and Zach Ertz when it relates to Evan Ingram, and even a guy like Travis Fulgham or even Greg Ward when it comes to relates to Zay Jones. I think Kirk is going to be one of their two duos. He'll be outside the numbers. He isn't Alshon Jeffrey when he was in 2017. I don't think he'll ever be that good. But Kirk can at least get some separation. He'll create some deep speed down the field. And if you have a corner who doesn't quite have that speed to match up with him, he'll take advantage of a one-on-one. Like, for example, let's say you really wanted to be ballsy and you had like a zero blitz thrown against you, and you really wanted to be ballsy. So you decide, okay, we are going to throw a deep post. We're going to throw like a deep route. We're going to max protect and try to catch them, burn them deep. Then I think that's the kind of guy you want Christian Kirk to be. Evan Ingram, I'm not saying he's going to be as good as Zach Ertz or Dallas Goedert, but he's going to play that role. He is definitely going to be there to catch over the middle and be more of a deep threat. He's not there to really block and all that. He's there to go catch the football and take advantage of linebackers in the middle of the field, which is a good role for him. Zay Jones, he'll be there to kind of help. Same thing as Ingram. They're there to help create zones in the middle of the field. Hopefully help set up stuff like a decent running game with James Robinson. So, at the very least, I understand why they got the players they did. I don't agree with who they signed. Defensively, they have some decent adds. They had Darius Williams, who's a decent corner from the Rams. I don't know if they need to pay him as much as they did. But then again, like I went back to, sometimes you have to pay a little extra to attract people to certain places. Then Folukat Fatukasi, I think that's a pretty decent run defense signing. It'll definitely help. It will at least help improve their run defense so that they're not getting trotted over by whoever the frick the Texans throw out there, and then just letting Derrick Henry and Jonathan Taylor, letting Jonathan Taylor and Derrick Henry just plow through them. I mean, it's hard enough already, but then you had one of the better run defenders. I'm not saying it fixes everything, but it's a start. In terms of key losses, I don't get why they let Myles Jack go. He's kind of been a cornerstone of their defense. He's been one of their better defenders. DJ Chark, again, I've already went over him. I like him as a decent receiver, but I understand why they let him go. Again, I get what Jacksonville is doing. They're trying to support Trevor Lawrence, and they understand that they cannot botch this. They cannot fail this experiment. I disagree with how they handled it, but then again, if it pans out, it pans out, and who cares what the hell I think. Now moving on to the third team of the division, which I'm surprised that they managed to beat ahead of Jacksonville. But the Houston Texans, they really didn't do much this offseason, and they were probably the smart ones. They did the smart thing. They recognize their team isn't going to go anywhere for a long, long time, so they decide, you know what, right now all we need to do is just kind of keep building on this thing. They add some decent free agent signings, just some depth pieces. They extended Brandon Cooks. I thought they were going to trade him. But apparently they decided not to, and granted, he's been one of their better weapons. He's not DeAndre Hopkins, but he is one of their better weapons. They did lose Deshaun Watson and Justin Reed. Reed is probably going to hurt that defense, which is why I have them probably taking Kyle Hamilton, because, hey, what better way to replace Justin Reed than what many consider one of the best safety prospects in the draft, who I think is the best safety prospect in this draft. Or just drafting a decent corner. Or they could go edge rusher too. They need an edge rusher. They have a lot of needs. It looks like they're comfortable rolling with Davis Mills, which he showed a lot of promise toward the end of the year. And you're keeping Pep Hamilton, who I really, really like as a quarterback and offensive coach. So that's really going to help. That's going to help your guy grow. So I did not like how they handled their coaching process, like the whole David Culley thing. I've gone over that already. But at the very least, you're keeping some stability, and Lovie Smith has some experience. So this team could improve, maybe. I don't know. Their biggest gain was the backpack of draft picks that they got for Deshaun Watson from Cleveland. 3 first-round picks in 2022, 2023, and 2024. They're going to have 6 first-round picks over the next 3 years. 2 this year, 2 next year, 2 after. You hit on at least 3 or 4 of the 2, 3, 4 of those picks. You've got a future core, maybe 5 if you're really lucky. If you manage to hit on all 6, then that's absolutely incredible. They got an extra 3rd-round pick, which adds to the stockpile they had already, so that's going to be decent. Their 4th-rounders could be decent depth guys. I really, really like what they're doing here. It's I like how Houston handled this offseason. I didn't. Again, I have my thoughts on how they run themselves, but I like that they decided, let's not do anything stupid. We know where we are. They're going to try to build around Davis Mills, which in my opinion is the smart move. That's all I got to say about Houston. I kind of liked how they handled their offseason as opposed to Jacksonville's. And now we're going to move to the team that missed the playoffs, finishing 2nd when they should not have. Let's go to the Indianapolis Colts, and they had a huge offseason ahead of them. They had $90 million in cap space after they shed Carson Wentz, and I really did not like how they handled that. You have the most cap space in the NFL this year. You had a lot of key pieces to look at, and they don't really address any of them. A lot of the big names on the market that they could have used to address stuff like their line and definitely some stuff on their defense, they choose not to do that. Their biggest stuff was through trades. They added Matt Ryan, which to me, this just kind of feels like Phillip Rivers again. Like, Matt has showed some decline in the past few years. He's a decent quarterback, but I don't know if he's enough to really make you a contender. He'll get you to the playoffs at least, but I don't see, like, if they had to go on the road and play like Kansas City or Buffalo or Cincinnati, I don't see them winning. I don't. To me, it just feels like Phillip Rivers again. 2-3 years, maybe, if you're lucky. You maybe get 2 decent seasons out of him, but you're going to have to draft somebody eventually. It's what I've said. I said it with the Broncos. I've said it before. Cheap fixes will only get you so far. You got to go after a permanent solution at some point, and I don't get what the Colts are doing. I like Ballard as a GM. I do not like how he's handled the quarterback situation. I think it's fundamentally been a mess. I sincerely disagree with how they've handled this. Hope they realize it sooner rather than later. And they added Yannick Ngakoue, who I like as an edge rusher. That's good. He'll definitely bring some stuff to the pass rush that they need. I like their defensive moves. I just didn't agree with how they handled quarterback. I'll put it that way. In terms of losses, the Carson Wentz thing, they got rid of his. That was actually a pretty good trade for them. I am surprised that they got Washington to take on his entire contract and get 2 third-round picks for him. I didn't think they'd really get much of anything for him, so bravo for you for swindling that trade. Rocky Sin, he never really developed into what the Colts wanted him to be, so I get why they traded him. I mean, you get Yannick Ngakoue out of it, so I don't think they really care. Then you have lose Eric Fisher, who was okay. He wasn't really fantastic. I think the Colts are going to need a more permanent solution. Again, this is a deep tackle class, but it would really help having that first-round pick back. In terms of guys I still need to address, Julian Davenport, Marlon Mack, T.Y. Hilton. I think Marlon Mack's the odd man out here because Nyheim Hines feels a great pass-catching threat, and Jonathan Taylor's just an absolute monster. So I think Mack's the odd man out in that running back core. Hilton's getting up there in age. I won't be surprised if he just signed somewhere else, or maybe he came back for the feels, or maybe he just retired altogether. I don't know. I think both are possible. Julian Davenport, again, just another line signing that didn't really work out. I think that it's decent that the way they handled some of their upgrades. I just think they could have done more. I don't think they did enough to make themselves true contenders. And that leads us back to the team that I fully expect to win this division again, because they, in my opinion, still have the best team. That's the Titans. They didn't do much either. Their biggest things came in their losses. They ended up losing Rashaan Evans, who, look, I get it that he wasn't truly panning out in Tennessee, and I get it that their defense needed some overhaul. I did not agree with them letting him go. I thought they should have at least tried to bring him back, but I get it. Maybe Atlanta, it's just a 1-year contract for him. He's 26 years old, so maybe Atlanta's a good place for him to reset. I don't know. And then David Quessenberry, I don't know if they'll bring him back. I think they're going through an overhaul on that side of the ball as well in terms of their O-line. So that's just me, though. Their offseason was really quiet, not much to say. They only really made one really key signing to me, which was getting Austin Hooper to be a pass-catching threat. Julio Jones, I'm surprised he didn't work out. I thought this was going to make the offense even more explosive than it already was. I guess not, but yeah, I'm surprised the Julio thing went as bad as it did. Oh well. The Titans, to me, all they gotta do is stay healthy and just hope I think they'll win their division. I just also think they could have handled their offseason better. I don't think they really did enough to, I don't think they did enough to really put themselves over the top, just like Indianapolis. That's all I got to say. This was a quiet AFC South offseason. The most noise came from the insanity that was Jacksonville. But, all you got to do is look at what happened and see that. Anyways, that's it for me, guys. A little bit of a shorter one, but it's all right. So, that's the AFC South, and that wraps up the AFC. We'll start with the NFC West in a couple of days. Some weird stuff to talk about there. Anyway, that'll be the NFC West coming up next. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and until then, I'll see you guys later.